This 8th grade interdisciplinary arts curriculum begins with modernism, studying the art movements of Surrealism and Expressionism. Acknowledging interdependencies of other art forms, the modernist movements focus on film. Film's extension, video art, is the subsequent focus of the postmodernist unit. In studying the interdependencies of various art forms of modernism and postmodernism, students create art objects and performance pieces, culminating in a collaborative art video between students and a video artist in residence. The modernist movements of Surrealism and Expressionism are introduced to the students through readings. These reading sessions also include written ideas or assignments in students' journal sketchbooks. The Surrealism Unit Studio Collage project lends itself to realistic rendering without calling on drawing proficiency. Composition principles are introduced, such as balance, perspective, contrast, overlapping, and focal points. Owing to the successful results of the Surrealism Studio Collage is the repetition of Surrealist terms, techniques, and concepts in a variety of art forms. Devices the Surrealists use are transformation, scale change, dislocation, incongruous juxtaposition, and levitation. With many 8th grade students studying French, Jean Cocteau's French foreign film, Beauty and the Beast, is another form of integrative arts education. Transformation and metamorphosis are surrealistic devices frequently used. The floor wants to become a mirror, the necklace refuses to be what it is, the doors in the mirror speak, branches part, carafe holding hands and candelabra bearing arms anticipate movement of characters. Tears crystallize into diamonds, sheets turn themselves down on a bed or serve as a curtain for a carnival theater. Animated film is another source of surrealism. In Snow White, the ugly witch sticks her head through her mirror and is transformed into a frying pan with 2 eggs. Expressionism, a predominantly German art movement originating at the turn of the century as a reaction against traditional European art academies, strives to express subjective feelings and emotions rather than to objectively depict reality or nature. Cinema depended on the realist heritage of its founders until 1919 with the making of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. The first expressionist film, Caligari was also the predecessor to Frankenstein. Among expressionistic themes is the validity of insights into human nature that can come from abnormal states of mind, particularly insanity. The cinematic techniques developed in presenting these experiences influenced filmmakers well beyond this period of time. Devices the expressionists developed to express subjective emotions included distortion through special effects, shadows and dramatic lighting, unusual camera angles, abrupt transitions from one shot to another, stylized sets, and exaggerated acting styles. The outstanding feature of the greater German films is their decorative sense of architecture. Caligari relies on stylized painted sets rather than cinematic effects as other films that followed. Painted and designed by expressionist painters, the sets of Caligari were to embody the tortured state of the narrator's psyche. The nightmarishly distorted decor of German expressionist films and their creation of mood through shifting chiaroscuro lighting were expressive of the disturbed mental and emotional states they sought to portray. Expressionist art utilized the power of abstractionism, a selective distortion representing the complexity of the psyche. Painted in a drastically different way than the painted scenery of the historical films, the sets of Caligari are painted to create a nightmare atmosphere to arouse anxiety and terror. There are no verticals or horizontals, and perspectives are willfully distorted. Unexpected curves and slanting lines have a metaphysical meaning, provoking emotions quite different from those induced by harmonious, gentle gradients. The shot of the dungeon cell in Caligari is recreated in a shot of the 1955 revisionist expressionist film, The Night of the Hunter. Other sequences also echo those in Caligari. The The sets demanded not only stylized makeup and costumes, but stylized acting as well. The second great German expressionist film, Nosferatu, is the first vampire film. While Caligari's expressionism was mainly graphic, Nosferatu's is almost purely cinematic, relying upon camera angles, lighting, and editing, rather than production design. The forests surrounding Nosferatu's castle were made to seem ghostly through the use of negative footage. The vampire's supernatural strength and the phantom coach are rendered in jerky accelerated motion achieved through stop-motion photography. For years, Germany's deep romanticism and taste for terror imposed upon expressionist filmmakers nightmare visions of haunted castles, vampires, sleepwalkers, and madmen. In the field of set design, this obsession with the horrible is translated into a preoccupation of dark, twisting stairways, vaulted corridors, mirrors, flames, and shadows cast by characters. In German expressionist films, shadow becomes an image of destiny. Occasionally, shadows are replaced by silhouette. Since German expressionist film's outstanding feature was its sense of decorative architecture, the studio project focused on architecture as its subject for painting and drawing. A rich source of subject matter was found in referencing Victorian architecture, stairways, and stills from Caligari. An interdisciplinary art project was incorporated into the 8th grade curriculum core team, studying the travels of Lewis and Clark. Using a viewfinder and cropping out sections from pages of a Lewis and Clark coloring book, students create tightly cropped portraits. Students are introduced to the Post-Modernist video art unit by viewing video art selections of a video artist prior to the artist in residency. Video art techniques are compared to Surrealist and Expressionist techniques, such as incongruous juxtapositions and unusual camera angles. Cubistic influences of multiple viewpoints and fragmentation also are briefly introduced. Groups are formed among students where topics and themes are decided upon that pertain to relevant and societal issues that confront today's youth. Student-created imagery and creative writings on selected topics is the framework for the collaborative art video between students and resident artists. The resident artist compiles these images, soundtracks, writings, poems, artworks, and student-spoken feelings into a final video space collage, incorporating special effects and modernist-influenced editing techniques. Class sessions are reserved for previewing and assessing students' video images. Embedded in these sessions is a trip to the Philadelphia Museum of Art to view Surrealist, Expressionist, Cubist, and contemporary artworks. Journal entries consist of creative writings and formula poems to works of art. An assignment is given to write a formula poem pertaining to the student's topic, which is to be incorporated into the video. This exciting and holistic interdisciplinary arts curriculum is a curriculum that addresses multiple intelligences and the whole individual. Students gain an understanding of artist appropriation and that film and video are art media that can be manipulated just as the other plastic arts. It is a curriculum where the museum and community resources are utilized and lends itself in investigating other cultures and disciplines. Finally, it acknowledges the relevance of the arts and the artist in society.